both elective and appointive, and I want to encourage Senator Crystal Asige next time, should also give us a status implementation report of the appointive of 5% within governments, the national government and the county governments, Mr. Speaker, so that we don't only talk about elective. The Constitution is very subjective, that it is not only elective, Mr. Speaker, or appointive. So we want to know whether even appointive positions meet the criteria of people living with disabilities, Mr. Speaker. And I think that is Article 54. Mr. Speaker, on Article 177 in terms of county assembly membership, I think this is a very straightforward matter, that at least 5%. It is disappointing that more than 20 counties are not meeting the threshold of PWDs and the young people, Mr. Speaker. The biggest challenge we have as a country as we talk today is the ballooning youth across the country. We need to hear their voices in county assemblies. We are lucky some of us were elected, we were still very youthful, even in this house, which was before referred to Nyumba ya Wazee, Mr. Speaker. But we are lucky to be sitting in this house to give voice to many of young people agenda. Even in the county assemblies, we want to see more young people running for elective, but also be given a chance through the appointive. I'm happy the Secretary General of ODM is in the house. We have the Deputy Party Leader. We have the Party Leader of UDM, Senator Roba. We have many people who run political parties in this house. That as they, and also live members of ODM, like Senator Beatrice Ogola. Mr. Speaker, we must come together, and I wish Secretary General of ODM was listening, because this is what I'm saying is very critical. That even as political parties through the Speaker, that you need to consider PWDs even when running during nominations. They should be given priority, Mr. Speaker, because of the unique nature that PWDs undergone, unlike the able-bodied people, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Senator Cherargei, would you like to be informed?
For the first time in the life of this house, I can allow today Senator Sifuna to inform me.
Senator Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, I wanted to inform Senator Cherargei that in fact, the mover of this bill is nominated by the Orange Democratic Movement, Honorable Speaker, to represent the persons with disabilities. And we as a party continue to be very proud of her. So I think, Honorable Speaker, Senator Cherargei, when he's addressing some of these issues, concerns about inclusion of persons with disabilities, maybe he should look behind his back and not this side, because on this side, we are okay, Honorable Speaker. I thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the SG Nairobi City Senator for that powerful and I want to commend the ODM also for nominating Senator Crystal Asige. I have taken judicial notice. I'm happy also on our side, Senator Mbugua, who is the Vice Chair of Labour, Senator Mbugua from Nyandarua delegation. He also has been nominated by UDA. Mr. Speaker, why are you allowing Senator Sifuna to harass me? All members are omnipresent in our house. You don't ask where they are. Mr. Speaker, they are serving this nation in different issues, Mr. Speaker. So I want to say the vice chairperson of Labour, Mr. Speaker, is a person living with disability or a differently able person. I'm happy Senator Crystal Asige, we used to sit together, I think, in Labour, and I don't know what happened. I was moved from Labour. But I want to say insightful comments has been very important going into the... And by the way, Senator Crystal Asige, she's also a very accomplished musician. And I was lucky with Senator Karen alongside. We did attend her launch, and it was very wonderful and beautiful. So the people living with disability can make a mark, Mr. Speaker. The third point I want to make is on the 5%. I think the young people, where 20 counties, they must be called out. I want to challenge the IEBC. I know IEBC is not fully constituted as at now. But we need to call out the IEBC. By the time they approve these nominations, without compliance of the Constitution, it is illegal, Mr. Speaker. When you see over 20 counties that PWDs are not there, the young people, Mr. Speaker. Even I saw in Nyamira, they were also impeaching a youthful speaker, Mr. Speaker, the other day. We need to encourage young people to even to be the speakers of county assembly. But unfortunately, most of the governors, most of the senators, and even speakers, I have not seen PWDs being elected, Mr. Speaker. We need to change our value system as a country, that people living with disability, the marginalized, the minority, can lead this nation, Mr. Speaker. I remember when former President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, When he was being appointed as the vice president, he came from a minority community, but he went out to lead this nation for 24 years, Mr. Speaker. You have seen many people, even Professor Kithure Kindiki comes from a minority community. That is a challenge that as a nation, we must look beyond. I know, Mr. Speaker, where you come from, there is still a challenge about clanism, Mr. Speaker, where people look leadership in terms of numbers as opposed to competence. So as a country, we must look beyond the differently able people, that they can be leaders also. They can be governors, they can be ministers. They can, I remember there was a PS, Mr. Speaker, who delivered in the last parliament, Mugobe, or the PS with the stored diminutive stature, who was the PS, I think, in charge of education. She used to come from Western Mr. Even the late Professor Godia. Mr. Speaker, we must agree, and I'm happy in 2020, the Ministry of Health has defined on what disability means. And I want to ask Senator Crystal Asige to keep the fire burning and ensure that these interests are represented, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, this one on the youth, I think young people also have a chance. You saw the explosion of Gen Z protests the other day, Mr. Speaker. This is because they feel unrepresented. Most of the young people feel that they are not represented. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge them also to run for these positions. You cannot be saying we are not represented when you have not tried. Some of us, when we came here, we were very, very young, but we dared to try. So I want to challenge, Mr. Speaker, that young people, wherever they are, it is not enough to just say we are not represented. Can you go out and register and become voters and run for those positions? All these political parties are willing to incorporate young people to run for these elective positions, including people living with disability, minorities and marginalized, Mr. Speaker. So I want to challenge the young people. Apart from making their voices being heard outside there, they have a chance to be elected. You need to convince to sell your manifesto, Mr. Speaker. Even I want to say, in conclusion, the resolution we just made the other day, it is because of that motion that we did contribute today, Mr. Speaker, that most of the young people, as we talk today, they went into Gen Z protests, Mr. Speaker. It's because they felt that they were representation. But I was sad that there is allegations of still abductions, there is still allegations of extrajudicial killings, and most of the victims are young people. Some of them, Mr. Speaker, I heard Senator Kajwang say here, you can be born as able person. In the last session, Mr. Speaker, if you remember, and we served with your father, the distinguished Senator Haji Senior, I was temporarily disabled. So the issue of disability, Mr. Speaker, I was only disabled in terms of my limbs, not any other thing was disabled, Mr. Speaker. But there was a challenge. I realized, Mr. Speaker, that you can be disabled. It is not, you have had even accidents happen, Mr. Speaker. Anything can happen, Mr. Speaker. If Senator Crystal Asige will tell you her story, everybody as a Kenyan has encountered. So even what we are seeing, people who are maimed because of Gen Z protests, there is abductions, there are allegations of abductions. There is people being followed. I saw it the other day that there is a young man who is not able to afford to pay for surgery, Mr. Speaker. I saw it today in the news, Mr. Speaker, and even I'm disappointed that the allegations that Safaricom is sharing triangulation coordinates for the police and DCI to arrest Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, that is infringing right of privacy. And I want to agree with you, Speaker, that the Committee of National Security should invite the Inspector General of Police. Why would you share the location and even the SMS and where the coordinates of the person of a Kenyan is? That is infringing right to privacy. And to do that, Mr. Speaker, you must get a court order. So if what I saw in Nation newspaper today is very unfortunate, even data protection, Mr. Speaker, I have been a victim for the last 1 week. My phone has been called, I have received insults, I have received praises. As we talk today, my phone, Mr. Speaker, has over 12,000 messages, SMSs. I have close to 20,000 WhatsApp, Mr. Speaker. I have received so many phone calls, and there is a data privacy breach that no one is addressing, Mr. Speaker. And they are salamiering me. By the way, I want to report to the House on all those, even the email of Senate is approaching 500,000 email that reacted to my bill, Mr. Speaker. And Kenyans are 60-40. As at now, 60% of Kenyans are supporting my bill, 40% are opposing. As the usual triangulations, Mr. Speaker, in terms of SMSs, in terms of WhatsApp, in terms of even Facebook update and social media, both in X account, Mr. Speaker. So I want to agree with Senator Crystal that the issue of data privacy should be protected. Why would the police know that I slept in somewhere and come and arrest and abduct me, Mr. Speaker? The Inspector General of Police must be called, Mr. Speaker, to order, and Safaricom also must be called to order. The fact that they have privilege of our data should not be allowed to abuse. Even Kenya Power and Lighting, Mr. Speaker, why are they sharing the data of where you live and the payments you have made in your houses? We must, and I want to challenge the national security. There is vice chairperson of national security here that should be, yes? Yeah, Senator Otsotsi can inform me.
Okay, Senator Otsotsi.
Mr. Speaker, I want to inform my neighbor and my good friend Cherargei that we are having challenges with the exposure of private data because of the inefficiency of the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, which the ICTD committee has brought a number of statements here on that matter. So I think for us to make progress on the issue of privacy of data, we need to start dealing with this office called the Office of Data Protection Commission.
Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, as I celebrate this tremendous work by Senator Crystal Asige, Mr. Speaker, is to agree as members of ICT we should take it as a priority, but also to encourage members, Mr. Speaker, the way we are giving accolades to Senator Crystal Asige, we should also give accolades to Senator Cherargei. Mr. Speaker, I've seen my colleagues bashing me in funerals and birthday party and baby showers over my proposals in the House. I want to appeal for love also, Mr. Speaker. I'm also a human being, Mr. Speaker, so you should not be hard on me. Can you be whispering some of this Solomonic wisdom when need arises? Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, I beg to support this bill and see it to fruition. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mogeni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish Senator Cherargei had consulted seniors in the House before he came up with his proposed bill on extension of term limit. My advice is, Mr. Speaker, that till we vote on that bill, keep house. There are some areas we should not visit. Mr. Speaker, I first want to pass my congratulations to Senator Asige for this bill that has been sponsored by her, that is addressing some of the concerns in Article 177